Okay, so what I want to do here is a quick little catch up on how to get some clothing onto my character here after I got it all rigged. I haven't done weighting on this character yet. I just popped in the rig really quick so that I could use this to figure out how I want to make the cloth work. Okay, so the rig is kind of working, but it's not weighted. So I've got this clothing here. The clothing still needs some work, okay, but what I need to do really is make a second bit of clothing. I'm just going to take this shirt, I'm going to make a duplicate. Okay, so I make a duplicate, and this duplicate, actually I might even go and hit like Shift P so it's unparented, so I'll parent this back in because I've got the advanced skeleton rig and stuff like that in here. And this shirt, here, let's just isolate it for a minute. I need some thickness on it, so I'm just going to go and hit Control E and extrude it. And I could give it some thickness. I can do a little bit of remodeling to it and sculpting on it and everything like that. And I have to lay out the UVs again and take it into ZBrush. But for the most part, it's good. It's got thickness. And I'll just delete the history and I'll pretend that I've done some more work on it. Okay, let's go back here. And actually, okay, that should be good. I'm just going to hide it for a minute, so I'm just going to hit H and hide it. And so I've already got this bound, and what I can do is, let's see if I can open up the advanced skeleton. So you can open up the advanced skeleton. I'm just going to grab the shirt, and let's see, it did all that stuff. Body, deform, select the deform joints, and then I can go ahead and bind the skin, just like I did previously. To the body or whatever. Okay, now if I select the body and I select the shirt, and like I said, I've already done the, I pretend that I've already done the weighting for the body. If I go to skin, I can copy skin weights. Okay, boop. And so now when I grab this controller, or both of them, double check, when I do this, they follow along. Okay, so they got the same weighting as the body. Okay, great. And actually, you can undo that. There we go. So I've got that weighted and everything. Now what I can do is, after I got it weighted and bound and everything like that, is I can take this, and let's close this puppy. I'm going to go over to, what is it? I'm in rigging. I'm going to go to FX. I'm going to go to nClothe, and I'm going to create nClothe out of it. So it's now nClothe. And if I press play, you see that it's going to drift off the body. Great. And if I go to the first frame, I'm just going to select the body, and I'll go to nClothe, and I'll create a passive collider out of the body. And now when I press play, it's going to go a bit slower. I think it's on real time here. I'm going to go to playback speed, play reframe, maximum real time. Just stop for a second, go back to the first frame, check this out. And actually, just hold on a second. It seems like it's still going too fast. Playback speed, play reframe, real time max, play reframe free. Okay, it should be dripping down the body. It looks like it's skipping frames though. Stop. I wonder if it's got that stupid auto keyframe on. I don't see anything moving. It might not be moving because actually I should do a quick check on something here. The character is large, but if I go to the nClothe here, nClothe shape, collisions, and I just check display the solver, so if I show the collision thickness, the thickness is fairly thick on this, so maybe I have to bring down the thickness a little bit. Maybe I'll take the body and I'll check out its thickness. And it's pretty thick too, so I'm going to bring its thickness down. When I press play, there we go, I'm getting some dripping clothes. Okay, so the clothes will follow along. Oh, and I should have kept that open and turned that off again. And I'll stop this, grab this thing, and turn that off. Okay. So that's working. And actually, maybe one other thing I should be checking when I'm in here, nucleus. I've got this real world size, so the scale space should be sitting at 0.1, right? Because, what is it, nClothe likes it if everything is at real world scale, Maya likes it if things are 1/10 the size, and by default, it likes it. What is it? nClothe is measuring in meters, and Maya likes to measure in centimeters. So, with all that math, you would think it would be 0.01, but it's actually 0.1 because Maya likes everything at 1/10 the scale. So 0.1 usually is my starting point. I sometimes will refine that a little bit if I have to. Also, sometimes I'll have to do substeps if there's my motion is too fast or something like that. Then you'll get weird stuff. Anyway, so when I press play, I get kind of dripping clothing. Looks like it's having, oh, it's probably cruising through the pants on here because I got pants and those probably need some kind of collision on them too. But, okay, so let's go and check this out. When I go to frame 0 and I grab these shoulders and I'm just going to go ahead and hit S and I'll go up to say frame 10 and I'll move them up. Kind of their maximum spot here. S. And even just for fun, let's take the clavicle controllers here, or the scapula controllers. I'm just going to hit there, maybe at frame 20. Actually, I got 30 frames only, so maybe I need like 100. Okay. And so these things on frame 10, what the hell was I thinking here? I'm just going to move these frames forward, so somewhere around 30. And then I'll go up to say 60, and I'll just take the clavicles and I'll move those up to, okay, this. And these shoulders just move up too fast, so I'm just going to grab these. All I'm doing is I'm holding down shift so I can select the keyframes, and I'm going to move those up to frame 32. And whoop, there. And now when I press play, it's actually working, and it's actually doing a decent job here. Whoop. Okay, but sometimes what I'll do, it depends on, I don't like that piece of geometry there, great. Sometimes what I'll do is I might want it to follow along a bit more. Actually, you know what, I almost don't want to because it's doing such a good job. But let's go to first frame, and I might decide that maybe I don't want it to drift around the shoulders too much. I don't want it to move around because it looks weird. I want it. I don't mind if it moves here and some other places. But what I can do is I can go into nClothe and I can go to Paint Vertex Properties. And actually, before I do that, I have to go in here to the shirt, and I find the nClothe. Let's close down collisions. I'll find the dynamic properties, and there's an input mesh attract. And so what'll happen when you put that on is it's going to go ahead and it's going to make it so it follows exactly what the joints are doing. So why do we even have a cloth simulation at this point? It still doesn't look too bad with all the crashing here and stuff like that, but maybe I just wanted to make sure it's stuck on the shoulder. So what I can do is I got that cranked up, the input mesh attract. Then I go down to the dynamic property maps and I go look for input mesh attract. It's a texture. I can switch to per vertex. And I can go in and paint some spots that I want it to stick on a bit more. And so if I go to nClothe, paint vertex properties, and I find input attract, I open up the tool here. You just got to remember that the tool, even though I picked input attract, there's like a bug here. It doesn't actually go to that attribute. You have to go and do that manually. Input attract. And so it's got input attract on, and I can go in here to stroke, and I can make it reflection, so I can do both sides at once. I'm just going to change B. We'll change my brush size. Remember the hotkeys are B, and U will change to different utilities. Actually, is it? Do they do that on this one? No, they don't. Liar! Okay, let's not do that then. Actually, I thought U and then M will change your maximum displacement, but I guess it doesn't. Anyway, whatever. We won't worry about it. I thought U. No. Okay. Input attract is on, and when I'm on input attract, it's black. So if I wanted to attract to some spots, I can. Why does it still feel wrong here? I'm just going to close this down. Select the shirt. I'm going to try this one more time because I think I did something screwy here. Input attract. Does it go to input a track? There we go. So now it's white. So something went weird. And also too, if something goes odd, reset the tool. Okay, sometimes that will help. What I might do is everything is 100% input a track, so maybe I'll go in here and I'll hit replace, value of 0, I'll hit fluid, and then I'll put it up to 1, and then I can come in here and I can grab some of these areas that I want to have really strong, well, actually not right there. Oop. Gotta be careful when you undo in this area. Okay, we'll say that's good. And and then I'll go over here and hit smooth and hit fluid a few times. And that'll smooth it out so it isn't too abrupt when I do this. Okay. And anything else? I'm just gonna stop this, go to the first frame, press play, and now you see those areas follow exactly. And then they actually have this nice little crunch, and I was kind of not happy with the geometry flow in this area. Okay. So we got that working. Let's go back to the first frame. Let's turn this off for a second. I'm going to bring back that other shirt that I have hidden. Here, I just selected it, and if I just go in here and hit H, it's back. Okay, and this shirt, what I can do is I grab this and, oh, I didn't check this beforehand. I can't remember the order. Oh, crap. Shirt, and I go and I hold down Control when I'm in the outliner to select the other one. And the last object selected will end up being a wrap deformer. So I go to rigging and I go into, where am I? Who am I? Deform. And if I go to wrap, bloop, and it does it. And so inputs, this thing's getting an input of that. Okay, great. Uh-oh. Well, let's just see what happens. Did I do it in the wrong order? No, I did not. It's following. Okay, so then later on, I'm going to make it so that other one, this one here, that's the nClothe deformer, I'm going to make that so it's hidden, so I don't see it. I don't have to worry about rendering. I can go in, depending upon what I'm using to render. Let's go over here. Tweaky, tweaky, tweaky. Over here. There we are. There's the shape node. And I can just go into the Arnold and turn off primary visibility, cast shadows, do all these things. So it doesn't create any rendering artifacts or anything like that. I want the rendering to be on this one, not on this one. Okay, just for simulations. And it depends if you're using Redshift. Actually, I can't remember if Redshift's got the same thing. I go into the shape. Oh, there's actually the shape node right there. I grabbed the wrong one. Got to watch out for that. Okay, so there's Arnold, and I think Redshift has got render stats. If I go to Redshift, tessellation, displacement, general, visibility, enable. Looks like it's got the same thing. So what if I go over here? Visibility, enable, primary ray visibility. So if I do that, then I can turn these things off and I can change them. Okay. And anything else you need to know? Go to the first frame, press play, and you can see it's dripping around here, but it's stuck on the shoulders. And if I had a dress or something like that, I might do that. And what is it? One more thing. See if I can handle this one in here too, because someone was asking about bracelets. Okay, so if I went in and I created, let's create some kind of nice bracelet. And where's my Tauruses? Oh, there we go. Let's hit F and take a look. Look, we got donuts. Someone sent a donut. It's not that big. If I go in here to the radius, and maybe I'll make the radius bigger. Just gonna see if I got something that's kind of hoopy. It's too big. There. Section radius. We'll live with what we had, I think. Twist, I don't care. I can turn down the subdivisions and axis. Not that one. Like the 20. The other one can go down. Let's go down to, say, 8. Great. And let's just go and freeze the transformations, kill the histoire, and I'll take this thing up here. Let's just put it into place. Now, I was thinking that you could do this one of a couple different ways. You could have it controlled by joints. And actually, you know what? I feel like this could be a bit smaller, so it'll be stuck on a wrist. Okay. Anyway, I could have this controlled by joints if I thought about it, and have a joint that follows along. That way I put a little controller on it and animate it however I want. That would be nice because it gives you a lot of control. Okay, but I'm going to take this thing here and let's zip over into FX, If you got like a few of these, you want them to collide into each other. If I went zipping into nClothe, and I should freeze the transformations on this thing, and let's call it Braceletta. I'm not spelling that right, but whatever. And is it colliding or anything like that? Doesn't look like it. Okay. And if I go to nClothe and I go and I create nClothe, now nClothe really likes open surfaces. So that first shirt that I was looking at over here, this was an open surface, whereas the extruded one is a closed surface. Okay. That's why I have part of the wrap on here, because if you have a closed surface and you're trying to do that, this other shirt will not nClothe very well. It'll be ugly. But this here is this is now an nClothe, and if I go ahead and I press play, it drips up, and yeah, it does kind of it looks bad. And then if I go over to the nClothe shape that I've got, and we look at collisions, okay, we don't care about the dynamic properties, there is a thing called rigidity. Let's turn that up to 10 and see what happens. Press play. Oh yeah. Still pretty rigid. Oh, it didn't. Oh, it screwed up. Okay, so let's just stop this for a second, go back to the first frame. I can go into the rigidity, and I can go beyond. Whoop. Let's go and make it big rigidity. Is there any other ones in here? Rigidity, deform resistance. Whoop. And let's go ahead and press play. Oh, now it doesn't like colliding at all. It did something weird. Okay, is it because I cranked this up too much? Let's put this back to 10. There we go. It was the 10. So now it's going to follow along, and it's doing some nice colliding up in here. And if I need to, I can go beyond 10, but I noticed that beyond 10 sucked. And there you go. And you could even do something, too, if you thought about it, like now it's sliding down the skin, and I don't like that. If I go to the collisions, I can go in and turn on friction or stickiness too. So let's go to the first frame, crank up my stickiness. So you could also put the stickiness on the skin too, but just gonna see how this works. Stickiness might be a little heavy-handed. What if I put up the friction? There we go. So it's working, so it'll follow along. Okay, so and I might have to remember that when you're doing your simulation, if you're doing animation with this, what you're going to have to do afterwards is go in here and cache this stuff out. So you do your animation, then you figure out how the cloth is working, then you can cache it out so you can render it properly. And I think that covers all the bases. Trying to think if there's anything missing. That should be enough. Okay, I'm going to stop this.